Hi all, welcome to my next Flosstube video. Today I'm going to be doing my mid-year WIP Parade. I wasn't planning on doing a mid-year WIP Parade this year. I was going to leave it till the end of the year, but I took the stats of my January WIP Parade because I wanted to make sure that I have that ready for when I do my end of year WIP Parade or next year's WIP Parade. And I actually saw how many new starts I had for this year, so I thought I'd make the most of it and do a mid-year WIP Parade as well. So yeah, hope you enjoy. So I'm going to start off by telling you a little bit about myself. A lot of the WIP Parades that I've watched previously do have a little bit of introduction to who they are. They are right in saying that WIP Parades are a way to find new channels, new floss tubers. So yeah, I will do that to start off before I get into my WIPs. So my name's Sally, I'm 28 and this is my channel, Dark Elves Crafty Corner. It's the same name on Instagram as well. The name came from the first section, the Dark Elf bit. My friend found it in a word search when we were a lot younger. I think I was in secondary school. I was like, oh, that sounds like a cool username. So I just took that and it's been my name on a lot of things since. And obviously now I've just made my floss tube. I've just added it to that section as well. So that's where the name comes from. As I say, I'm 28. I live with my fiance and we have a dog and 2 cats. So I'll put the picture up of them there. The dog is called Kiri and the 2 cats are called Mungo and Evie. A lot of people ask why the dog's called Kiri, and when we first got her we weren't sure what to call her, and Josh said we could call her Valkyrie, and I thought that's a really nice name, but we would obviously probably shorten her name a lot of the time rather than shouting Valkyrie or anything, and I didn't want to shout Val over it, so I was like, right, we'll just skip the Valkyrie section and we'll just go for Kiri at the end. I didn't want my dog being called Val, so yeah, that's where her name comes from. I just really thought it was a nice little different name. Some of our friends still haven't got it. They always call her Kira, but at this point we've been friends with them a while and she's over 2.5 years old now, so if they want to call her Kira, that's fine. I've given up trying now, so they can just call her Kira. That's fine. Whatever. I know who they're on about, so it's all good. I live in the West Midlands of England. I live in the Black Country, and I've been stitching been stitching consistently for about 2, maybe 3 years now. I stitched a little bit when I was younger, but it was nothing major. So I just kind of just had bits and bobs here and there of little motifs and that sort of thing. So it was nice to get started back up properly with proper design. So yeah, so let's get into the WIPs. I'll be looking down every now and then because I've got my notebook with all of my WIPs on and their stats for what I've done this year. I only started keeping statistics on my most recent patterns. So there's some here that don't have any stats on. I actually think there's only one now that doesn't have any stats on, because when I first started I didn't know about Stitch Pal or anything like that. So I wasn't keeping stats of that, and I didn't have Pattern Keeper when I first started as well. So this piece here, while I was doing this, I never had any stats for it. It was in Pattern Keeper, but I never kept stats of like what I'd done on what day and stuff. So sorry about the glare. But that was one of the first pieces that I actually fully completed. I've got some hung up in my hallway as well, so I will insert some pictures of those there, but they're the most like they're the oldest ones that I have. So first of all, we have the Dead Butterfly pattern from Pandora X Stitch, which was on Etsy. I don't have a start date for this one. As I say, this is the oldest one that I have currently, and I just didn't keep any stats of that, so I'll put a picture of that up. So this is how it looks now. So in January I was at 51% and 2,253 stitches in. This was one of the ones that was put up on my WIP Go for this month or June, I can't quite remember which one, and that was to put 500 stitches on. I was previously not really enjoying doing it. There's a lot of dark on the wings, so this is actually stitched. This isn't even black, this is stitched on the fabric, and it was getting quite difficult to see, so I wasn't really enjoying it. But since I've picked it back up, I was really enjoying it. So the stats that we're on now is at 77.04% and at 3,385. So in the past 6 months I've done 1,132 stitches. As you can see, at 77%, it's really not far off being completed, and I've enjoyed doing it a lot more since I've picked it back up. So it is just that final stretch. I put the grids on because of these little random stitches around. There is some more, it is mirrored, so there's some over here and there's some up the top here that need to get done. I think they're going to be the ones that cause me the most issue, because I won't be able to just carry them over the stitches, so it's going to be a bit difficult to start and finish that. If you can hear the noise, it's my chair. I need to move my chair because I don't want that continuing throughout the video. So, but yeah, that's the dead butterfly. That's the oldest one that I have, and that's 1,132. This is stitched on 16 count 2 over 1 full cross. So next up we have Astrology Cat, which is by Ciro Marichetti, I believe. I'm not 100% sure on the pronunciation, so I'll put that down. It's by Heaven and Earth Designs, charted by Heaven and Earth. I will put all the links to the patterns that I can in the description. So everyone that I can get the link for, I'll put all of those in the description if anyone wants to go and get them. Excuse me. So the last video I was at 2.38% and at 10,069 stitches, so I'll put the picture of that up. And now the current progress is still at oh no, sorry, it's at 2.63% and 11,132 stitches. So we've done 1,063 in the past couple of months. This was started on the 2nd of September 2024, so that's the oldest one that I have that I actually keep the date that I started it from. This one at the minute, I'm not sure if I'm going to continue working on it. There was 1,000 stitches to be worked on it on my WIP Go board, and I'm not really loving it. I started it on 20 count or 22 count, and it's 1 over 1. Looking back on it now, the coverage isn't as bad as I thought it was. When I take my photos for Pattern Keeper, often it shows it's quite spacey. You can see it in the black a little bit that it's a bit sparse throughout the black, but when you look at it at where you're supposed to, it's not actually that bad. I wasn't really enjoying the fabric though. The fabric's quite loose. There's quite, so when you have like the two strands of the it's really difficult to explain because I'm not very technically worded with it. So where you get the two strands of the one of the section, it seems really loose, so you can put your needle through the wrong section quite easily. And I looked excuse me, sorry, I looked at the pattern and there's just one thing that looks quite weird with the colour. So I'll put the picture up of where I'm, like where it looks a bit out of place. So there's an archway and there's some colours like browns that bleed into where the sky should be, and it just kind of looks a bit, it doesn't look right. And there's the same on the cat, there's just one colour that kind of looks like it shouldn't be there. It doesn't really blend in with the rest of the cat. So I thought all of that together, I'm not sure if I want to actually carry on with it. So I've done those 1,000 stitches this month, this year, but at the minute I'm not working on it. I don't really want to say it's definitely a UFO at the minute, but I'm not 100% sure if I'll carry on doing it, whether I want to restart it, or whether I will just end up leaving this, kind of leaving it as a UFO. I have got all the threads for it, so if I decide to do that, I'll probably sell those on to somebody who might want to do a pattern in the future. I've kind of been having all these thoughts in my head about what I'll do if I don't carry on with it, so that's a possibility. But at this minute, I don't really want to make a hasty decision, get rid of all the flosses, and then decide in the future that I either want to carry on this piece that I've already started, or if I want to just restart it. I was measuring how long it was taking me on this one, and so far I've worked 50 hours on it. I'm not going to do that in the future because it just adds a little bit more work to what I need to do. I don't mind. I love putting in my total stitches into Pattern Keeper and seeing the percentage build up, and into Stitch Pal, and seeing the percentage build up and how much I've done in each day. I love doing that, but a lot of the time I forget to pause my timer when I'm actually stitching on it and not stitching on it, so it gets a bit difficult sometimes to actually remember what I've done, because I'll either start it and go, oh, I forgot to start my timer, how long I've been working on it. I know it doesn't really matter in the long run if I forget like half an hour because of how long it's going to take. Half an hour missed doesn't really make a difference, but the idea of UFO in this and knowing that I've spent 50 hours on it is a bit heartbreaking, to be honest. But considering that I'm only at 2.6% anyway, it's nothing in comparison to what I'd actually be completing. So yeah, I'm still including it because at this point in time I haven't UFO'd it, but there is a possibility that that will be the case in the future, so we'll just have to see. So I haven't been showing my bags that I've got them in either. I know some people really love seeing that. So my dead butterfly is in this little bag. I'm not 100% sure of who it's made by, as I got this in a gift exchange a couple of years ago. So on the one side it's got just a little pocket, and then on the other side it is zipped as well. So that's just all I've got it in at the moment. It doesn't actually fit fully, but it just gives it a bit of protection. So that's that one. So that's how it is at the minute. But it does just give it a bit more protection than just being out in nothing. And Astrology Cat hasn't got anything at the moment. It's just in a little tote bag with everything else that I've got for it. So that's not got anything really important in. Next up we have a kit from Bothy Threads. It's Enchanted Luna. So that's the full, I'll take it out of the packet, I'm being lazy there. So just bear with. Sorry about the noise. Oh, what's going on? There we go. So that's the full pattern. I started this on the 22nd of September 2024. I don't have any actual stats for this because it's on a paper pattern. I don't keep my stats for my stitching on that. It just gets a bit difficult. I'd much rather stitch on it than work out how many stitches I've actually done. So that's the progress so far. I don't think I've worked on this much this year. I think I've done a little bit. I have decided to sort of restart. I did, when I started in September, I originally started in this corner, but then I read the instructions and it said it's better to start in the middle because the edges don't always line up exactly where it's supposed to. At the edge you might end up having a bit of an overhang of some of the tree or not having an overhang, so it said it's better to start in the middle just to make sure that it looks best. It is on some printed fabric, and this is the bag that it's in. This is from Stitch Mania, Michelle from Stitch Mania Stash. Again, I will link her Etsy shop down below, so if you want to see anything of hers, that will be below. There's some lovely bags, some lovely little trinkets, stitch counters, that sort of thing on there, so I really recommend going and checking that out. I know some people probably will be absolutely disgusted with that clump of a mess of the threads for it. I couldn't really figure out the best way to do it. I didn't have any floss drops at the minute, at the time, and there's not really much on there to do. There's only like 3 or 4 colours, so I just kind of left it, and we'll see how it goes and try to unravel them very carefully. So next up is my Silver Moon Dragon. It's designed by Dragon Muse Artworks and charted by Heaven and Earth. I started this on the 11th of November 2024, and at the point of my first WIP Parade in January, I was at 1.2% and 1,215 stitches. I have actually restarted this since my first video. It was on the same fabric as my Astrology cat, and I really wasn't loving it. I'd also used 3 strands, and because I wanted it to be a bit more, I didn't want to see any of the white through the black design, but it just made it far too bulky, so the 3 strands I just gave up on and decided to redo it. So I'm now at 5.14% and 5,208 stitches. This is on 25 count 2/1 10th stitch. So before I had like a lot of this done, and then since I've restarted it, I've obviously got a lot more done. I've got 5,000 stitches done. I think when I restarted it, I'd got 2,000 or 3,000 stitches into it, and then decided to restart it. There is actually some brown in this, but it's very dark brown. It's mainly in some of the stars, so you can't really see the colour come into it at the minute. I'm really looking forward to getting a bit further down and getting some of the blues and the yellows started on this, because I think that's going to start looking really, really beautiful. That one's just in a plastic, I've dropped it on the floor. Just one of these bags, nothing special. I need to make some more bags, some bags that'll fit my Q snaps in, so I'll get on that soon. Next up is the Heaven and Earth stitch along for this year, for 2025. I decided to choose the bunny, Innocent Dreams. I was going to pick a different pattern, but Josh wanted me to do the bunny, and it kind of gave me an incentive to definitely complete it, because if you get 6 pages complete, you get all of the other designs that were released for the year. If you do finish the whole project, then you get those patterns and a free pattern from the website. So I'm still kind of going for that at the minute, but I'm not sure if I'll get that completed. They did release that early, so I started it on the 28th of December 2024, and I'm now at 35% at 30,000 stitches. The beginning of the year I was at 6%, sorry, and 5,393 stitches. So far this year, since my last WIP Parade, I've done 24,705 stitches. It's really coming on really nicely. There was an issue with one of the threads. Something had happened with the numbers, because I'm doing this with CXC thread. Most of my stuff is done with CXC, not DMC. This one, it was supposed to be darker than this one, and I'm not sure what's happened, but it seemed to be the wrong colour. So I'm going to stitch the rest of that, see how it goes, and if it looks a bit odd, I'll restart. I won't restart. I'll unpick that section and just redo that one, because I did buy that again in DMC. You can't really tell the difference in the thickness. I know a lot of people say CXC is usually thicker, which I agree with. But for the DMC in that colour, it's not been too much of a problem. What I'm trying to do is, at the moment, get all this section sorted so I can move it over and start working on that section, because it does go over. So there is more on this side that I need to get done. So I want to start getting that done, and I need to pull my finger out and get this done if I want it done for the end of the year, because at this point in time, there's a lot of pages that have a lot of stitches in them, but at the moment I've only got one page fully completed. So yeah, definitely need to get that done a bit quicker. The bag for that one is also from Michelle at Stitch Mania. So that one's really nice. This one fits my Q-snap in really nicely, so I love using this for this. It's not on theme, but it fits the Q-snap in and it keeps it safe, so that's all I care about at the moment. So we are now on to projects that I started after my first WIP Parade. The first one that I have is Ghosts. I can't remember the name of the shop that I bought this from, so I'll put it on screen, and as I say, I'll put it in the description. But this is the progress I have. When I started this, I thought it was actually quite a bit smaller than it is, because I just wanted a little project that isn't a full coverage heaven and earth, and it turns out it's actually massive. So this fabric is the size that it needs to be. So we're currently 11% through that and 3,434 stitches. So this is 2/1 full cross on 16 or 18, I'm not 100% sure. It's the same fabric as I bought for the moth, the dead butterfly. So it's really nice. Originally on the pattern, it says, this chair's so squeaky, it says that it's to be done on white fabric and you stitch the black, but I just really didn't see the point in that. I just thought I'll stitch black fabric. So on Pattern Keeper, I selected all of the black that should have been stitched and just marked it all as complete. It doesn't match up with the percentage that I've got on my notebook. I'm not sure what that was, but it doesn't match up, and I thought it would do because I've removed the black stitches from my Stitch Pal app. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that. I know which ones I have actually done, obviously, so we'll just see what happens to that in the end. If it matches up, it matches up. If not, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, that's that one. That one doesn't have a bag either at the moment. That's just sitting on my shelf. As I say, I need to start making some more bags. I've got plenty of fabric that I need to make, so yeah, I'll get that done in the future. Next up we have Nevermore, which is another heaven and earth pattern. It does say it's part of the solo collection, so I'm not 100% sure what that means, but that's where it's found on the Heaven and Earth website. This was my birthday start, so this is the current progress. I really love working on this, but it's so confetti heavy. Like all the greens and all the yellows, it's just completely filled with confetti. So it's not just something that you can just sit and mindlessly stitch. You do really have to pay attention. I think the pattern in the end is going to look absolutely beautiful. I did want to stitch it on some green fabric so I could kind of not stitch the background, but I couldn't find anything that really worked with it, and I thought I'd rather do it properly than just kind of make a mess of it. So I'm not sure if I said that. It was my birthday start, so I started it on the 11th of February, and it's 3.68%, and I've done 9,372 stitches since then. I picked this up for quite a while. This was the only thing I was working on for quite a while, but there's been other things that I've been working on, so I haven't picked it up in a couple of months, but I do want to get back to it because it's a lovely pattern. So yeah, that'll be really nice to carry on. This is a 25 count, and this is 2/1 tent stitch. A lot of my full coverage, apart from Astrology Cat, are full tent stitch on 25 count. So that's what I prefer to do. So it looks really nice. Next up we have Yumi, which is another charted by Heaven and Earth. The artist is Margaret Morales. This is a mini. I absolutely love her work, Margaret Morales. Since then I've bought quite a few more of her designs off Heaven and Earth because I just think they're absolutely beautiful. I really love the art style. I think it's just so nice. Everything about it, I just love the design of it. So I've actually got a couple more. I'll show you some of the others that I've bought as well. I've actually bought some more since my normal previous video, so that'll be my haul in there as well. But at the moment I'm at 6.08% and 4,842 stitches. This was started on the 21st of March 2025. This was started on the retreat that I went to, which is the Kingfisher retreat, Somerset retreat, which is the needle minder that I used. But yeah, this was the only thing that I stitched on for the entire retreat, but unfortunately that was the last time I stitched on it. It's just one of those where I've picked up other things. There's no reason for me not to have stitched on it because it's absolutely beautiful. I love it so much. There's just so many nice colours. The purples, it's all just really nice. It's just completely my style. So there's no excuse for me not to have picked that up. It's really good. It's really nice. So I need to get that back out soon. But at the minute I actually need to focus on my Heaven and Earth stitch along, to be honest. So it's one of those difficult ones. Just off topic, I think I've decided that I won't do another stitch along that requires such a strict deadline for any rewards or anything kind of like that. I've enjoyed it so far, and it does give me a target to get something done, but I do feel a little bit of pressure to get it done for the end of the year, and I don't like that kind of pressure. So I think I'm going to carry on with my stitch along. I'm enjoying actually stitching on it, so I've got no problem with that. But in the future, I think I'm just going to stick to stitching what I like. If there's another stitch along that comes along where it just gets released in sections, I'm happy to do that because there's no kind of pressure to get it done by the end. I know some people like to get them done as each release comes out, but if it doesn't amount to anything, like there's no rewards for it being done, then I don't mind not getting that done. But yeah, I think I'm gonna get this one done, this year's Heaven and Earth done, and unless there's a pattern that I really love in the future, I think that's me done for stitch alongs in that sort of sense. So next up is the Winter Fox. I'm not 100% sure on the artist. Again, I'll list it on screen and I'll put it in the description. It was definitely from Etsy. I bought a couple of them. There's a fox that I've got, the rabbit and the panda. There is a couple more on there as well that I really like, but those were the ones that I wanted to do straight away. I started it on the 12th of May 2025 and I'm currently at 21.67% and at 800 stitches. It's really not a big pattern. There's a little mouse there and then there's the fox the rest of the way. A lot of it is back stitching. There's a couple of snowflakes, but most of it is just the fox and it's brought down, and then there's back stitch all throughout. What I've decided to do is back stitch each section. So I'll start on the fox a little bit each side and then I'll back stitch the scarf, and then I'll focus either on the head or the body, back stitch that, and then do the other section. This is on a printed fabric. So I'm not sure, can you wash printed fabrics afterwards? I left it in the nurge for quite a while, and I thought actually if you can't wash it or use the steam on it to iron it, I don't really want to keep it in there for much longer because I don't want it to stretch the fabric or crinkle the fabric that I can't get it out. So if you can let me know if you can wash printed fabrics, I'm not 100% sure. This is the first design. What is that? Have I messed up? I don't know what that thread is, so I'm going to have to look into that. Oh dear. I'll get that looked into. This is the first one that I've tried doing 2/2. So I believe it's 28 count. So it's not the smallest. It's supposed to be just on 14, I believe, or 16. I'm not 100% sure whether it's 28 or 32. Yeah, that's the right maths. So that was the first time in me trying 2/2, and it also does have some blended threads in, and that was the first time I tried that as well. So I love working on this, and it is such an easy pattern to follow, to be honest, because of it being it's kind of a chunkier design, but it's so nice to get that done. I'm really looking forward to that. Again, I haven't really picked it up since the 12th of May, but I do want to try and get this finished for Christmas time or winter time, just so it can actually be out, framed and out for Christmas time. I'd love that to be the case. This one is also in a bag made by me. So this was like my third or fourth attempt at making a bag, and I was really happy with the colour choices. I bought the fabric quite a while ago at it was like a big craft fair. It was one of the ones that you'd go to at the NEC. I can't remember what it's called, but it's the like one of the big main ones. And I bought it ages ago and I didn't know what to do with it. And I thought, yeah, that's I absolutely love this bag. So yeah, I'm really proud of that. So last but one is the pattern I Do What I Want, and this is from the Cross Stitch with Catitude book. I really like it. It was one of those where I wanted to start it because I hadn't really got any small easy stitches, so this is just a nice one to get completed when you're doing other things. I'm missing a couple of colours, so I need to get those, but I'm doing quite well on this. The wording, there is the words come down here saying I do what I want. So I need to get working back on that, but I'm not really fussed about when this gets completed because it's just one of those easy ones to pick up. So I don't know the stitches for this. I don't know when I started it either, actually. It's definitely been since my last WIP Parade though, so yeah, I'm enjoying doing that. I'm not, like I say, I'm not sure 100% on what that is, but this one is also in another bag by myself. So I love this. I went to Oh So Crafty and bought the fabric for this. So I went a little crazy and bought quite a few pieces of fabric from there. So I need to get making some more bags. I think I've got enough to make another one of these, so that'll be easy enough to make. And last but not least is the pattern Peacock Liaison from Heaven and Earth again. I'm not 100% sure on the artist, so I'll list that. If you have watched me previously, you won't have seen this one because I started it since my last normal video. I really wanted to start something with some really beautiful colours in, and this one's been on my wish list for quite a while, so I just thought I'm gonna get the threads for this and get this started. It's absolutely gorgeous. This is my progress so far. So this is the middle peacock. I wanted to start in the middle, but I didn't want to start directly in the middle. There's some trees and it's a little bit boring, if I'm completely honest. And I wanted to work on something with some colour. So I started in the middle of the fabric, but worked my way across to where the peacock should be on the fabric. So I've started on that. And I absolutely love it. A lot of the time when you start in one of the corners and it's usually just some background and it's a little bit boring, but starting here was just, oh, it's just been so nice to work on. I've absolutely loved working on it. I'm currently at 1.46%, and that's 4,218 stitches. And I started that on the 14th of July this year. So I'm really loving working on this, and this is 25 count 2 over 110 stitch again. But the colours working up on this are just absolutely gorgeous. The blending on this, I can't wait to get more of his neck done. What I've decided to do is work in some of the background as well, because there's 22,000 stitches of that light colour. So I wanted to work in some as I go, because if I leave that till the end, that's just going to be not enjoyable. I actually like block stitching, but that's gonna be a bit of a joke if it comes to that. So yeah, that I love that. I'm so glad I started that one. So that's it for my mid-year WIP Parade. I'm surprised that I've started as much as I had. I didn't know that I'd started as much as I had this year. I'm looking forward to working on all of my pieces. So I'm glad that I actually got this WIP Parade done, and I have a bit of a thing that I don't even know what I'm saying. No, but I'm glad that I've got some more stats ready for my end of year or beginning of next year WIP Parade as well. So even if I don't do another one next year, I've got the progress of what I've done over the year. I've got the photos of the first WIP Parade, and then I'll have these ones. So it is really nice to just see the progress coming along on all of them. I know a lot of people say that the WIP Parades give you inspiration to start them up again, and it really has. So I want to concentrate on my stitch along for the year, but just looking at the colours on Yumi, they're absolutely gorgeous. So I just really want to pick that one up again and get that one started again. There's just loads that I want to make a start on. There's not really many that I want to put away, other than Astrology Cat. So I'm enjoying working on all of my WIPs. So I really enjoy that. I think I've got some threads to start some more, but after I've started those ones, I think that's going to be me done until I finish one. So yeah, I've kind of made the decision that I can start some smaller ones once my smaller ones are finished, or once a larger one's finished. I want to kind of always have one on the go that's small and easy to pick up. So I don't really mind having a couple of those, or having finished that one and then starting another one like the cat. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed, and thank you so much for watching if you've got this far. If you could like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. It would really mean the world to me. If you've got any questions, pop them in the comments below. And as I've said, anything that I have listed, any of the patterns or the bags, I will put those in the description as well. So yeah, hope you have a great day. Thank you for watching. Happy stitching. Bye.